Think about learning a new skill. Buying a new set of golf clubs does not make someone a better golfer overnight. Are you ready to get back to what you love after knee replacement? The Total Knee Success Podcast is your trusted guide with practical tips, evidence-based strategies, and no fluff. It's not personal medical advice, just solid education to help you manage pain, regain mobility, and get back to living the life you love. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Total Knee Success Podcast. I'm Michelle. Today, we're starting a new 4-part series focused on some of the things that can make knee replacement more confusing than it needs to be. Over the next 4 episodes, we're going to talk about common beliefs, unexpected challenges, longer-term changes, and the final stages of moving beyond surgery and back into everyday life. We're starting this series with something I think affects almost everyone at some point after knee replacement: the myths and expectations that shape how people judge their own progress. At the end of this episode, you'll have a better understanding of 6 common knee replacement myths, why they're not always accurate, and how those beliefs can influence the way you view your own experience after surgery. There are many things people hear before and after knee replacement. Some come from friends or family members. Some come from stories shared online. Some come from comparing one person's experience to another. And some are ideas that have been repeated so many times that they start to feel like facts. The challenge is that many of these beliefs begin with a small piece of truth, and then they get expanded into something that does not apply to everyone. My goal today is not to tell you exactly how your knee replacement experience will go, because every person's situation is different. Instead, I want to help you look at the process with a little more perspective and recognize when an expectation may not match the reality of what many people experience. So let's start with 6 common knee replacement myths that are worth reconsidering. Myth number 1, once the surgery is over, the hard part is finished. This is probably one of the biggest misunderstandings people have before knee replacement. The surgery itself is a major event. You prepare for it, you go through it, and then there's often a feeling of relief that the day you've been waiting for has finally arrived. But the surgery is not the finish line. It's the beginning of a process that involves your body adapting to a significant change. A knee replacement gives you a new joint surface, but it does not instantly restore strength, coordination, balance, endurance, or confidence with movement. Those things still have to be rebuilt. Think about learning a new skill. Buying a new set of golf clubs does not make someone a better golfer overnight. Having a new instrument, a musical instrument, doesn't mean that someone can immediately play a complicated song. The equipment can make the activity possible, but the person still has to develop the skills needed to use their equipment well. A knee replacement is similar. The new joint can provide the opportunity for improved function, but your muscles, nervous system, movement patterns, and daily habits still have to adapt. This is one reason people sometimes feel surprised after surgery. They may have expected the biggest challenge to be the operation itself, and it is a challenge, but then they realize there's still work involved afterward. That work will likely include exercises from your healthcare team, gradually increasing activity, rebuilding strength, practicing movements that feel awkward, and learning to trust your knee again. And this is where I think it's important to recognize something we talked about in episode 88. Progress is not always dramatic. Early on, improvement may be easy to notice. You may walk a little farther, bend your knee a little more, or need less assistance moving around. Later, progress can become more subtle. You may notice that you can stand longer while making dinner, walk through a store with fewer breaks, or move throughout your day without thinking about your knee every few minutes. And those changes may not feel as exciting as the early milestones, but they're often the things that help people move toward the activities and routines that are important to them. The myth is that surgery is the end of the process. The reality is that surgery is one of the starting points for the next phase. And understanding that difference can help you have more realistic expectations about what comes next. Myth number 2, if I still have pain after knee replacement, something must be wrong. One of the biggest sources of worry after knee replacement is often the belief that pain should disappear once the damaged joint has been replaced. It makes sense why people think this. The purpose of the surgery is to address the arthritis and damage that was causing problems before surgery. So when someone still feels discomfort afterward, it can be confusing. They may start wondering, why does my knee still hurt if the bad part was removed? The answer is that pain after knee replacement can have many possible explanations, and discomfort does not automatically mean something has gone wrong. Your body has been through a significant procedure, and the tissues around the knee have to adapt. Muscles, tendons, nerves, and the surrounding tissues all respond to that change. The way your brain interprets sensations from the knee can also change as you begin moving differently and returning to more activities. Pain is also not always a simple measurement of what is happening inside the joint. Two people can have similar procedures and have very different experiences afterward. One person may notice stiffness more than pain. Another may notice swelling after activity. Someone else may feel discomfort with certain movements while everyday activities continue to improve. That's why I think it's important to look at the whole picture. If your knee feels stiff first thing in the morning but allows you to walk farther than it did a month ago, that's showing a different pattern than a knee where symptoms are consistently worsening and function is declining, which is a good reason to see your surgeon. This is also where people sometimes get trapped by comparing themselves to others. Someone might say, "I was pain-free 2 weeks after surgery," and that statement can make someone else feel like they're falling behind. But there are so many factors that influence how someone feels after surgery, including their health history, activity level, expectations, support system, and how they describe their own pain. A single person's experience is not a timeline that everyone else has to follow. Now, this doesn't mean you should ignore symptoms that concern you. New or worsening symptoms, increasing redness, drainage, fever, sudden loss of function, or significant changes that concern you are reasons to contact your surgeon or healthcare team. The myth is that any pain after knee replacement means the surgery failed. The reality is that discomfort can be a part of the process of adapting to a new knee, increasing activity and rebuilding strength and movement. If understanding the reasons behind pain and stiffness after knee replacement has been one of the most challenging parts of the process, my book, Making Sense of Pain After Knee Replacement, takes a deeper look at why your knee can feel different from day to day, why symptoms can change over time, and how to better understand what you might be experiencing. You'll find a link in today's show notes. The more useful question is often not, "Do I have any pain?" but rather, "What is my knee allowing me to do compared with where I started?" Because in the end, the purpose of knee replacement is not to create a knee that never sends you a signal. It's to help you return to the activities and parts of life that were limited before surgery. And sometimes recognizing that progress requires looking beyond the moment you are currently in. Myth number 3, your knee should be back to normal by a certain date. One of the most common beliefs after knee replacement is that there's a specific point where everything should suddenly feel normal. People hear timelines like 6 weeks, 3 months, or 6 months, and it's easy to turn those dates into expectations. The problem is that healing and functional progress do not happen on a calendar schedule that looks exactly the same for everyone. Two people can have knee replacements on the same day and have very different experiences months later. One person may be focused on walking farther. Another may still be working on strength. Someone else may be returning to activities that require more balance, endurance, or confidence. A date can be helpful as a reference point, but it should not become a scorecard. I think this is especially important because often people compare their current situation to where they think they should be instead of looking at where they started. The more useful question is not, "Am I exactly where I expected to be by this date?" It's often, "What can I do now that was difficult or impossible before?" That shift changes the way we evaluate progress. A knee replacement is not a race against a calendar. It's a process of gradually rebuilding your ability to participate in the activities that are important to you. Myth number 4, if my knee feels stiff, I must not be making progress. Stiffness is one of the most common symptoms that people talk about after knee replacement, and it can be frustrating because it often changes from day to day. You might feel better one day and your knee might feel stiff the next. You may notice knee stiffness after sitting and increased activity or first thing in the morning. That variability can make people wonder whether they're moving backwards. But stiffness in your knee alone does not tell the whole story. A person can still be making progress while experiencing stiffness in their knee. They may be walking farther, getting stronger, doing more around the house, or returning to activities that they had stopped doing before surgery. Sometimes the best measure of progress is not how your knee feels in one moment, It's what your knee allows you to do over time. That doesn't mean every type of knee stiffness should be ignored. If symptoms are concerning or changing in a way that worries you, it's important to discuss them with your healthcare team. But a stiff knee and a failing knee are not the same thing. Myth number 5. Once I'm done with physical therapy, I'm done working on my knee. This is another belief I hear often because physical therapy is such a big part of the early weeks after knee replacement. People may finish their scheduled visits and think, okay, I'm finished, now I just move on. But finishing formal therapy doesn't necessarily mean you're finished improving. Physical therapy gives you guidance, structure, and a plan for rebuilding movement. As you continue through the months after surgery, many of the changes you're working toward come from continuing to use your knee in everyday life. Staying active and continuing to build strength and endurance is important after physical therapy is done. This is where the transition can feel a little strange. Early on, improvement is often connected to very specific goals: bending your knee farther, walking safely, getting stronger, and becoming more independent. Later, progress often becomes about returning to the activities that make up your normal life. That might mean carrying groceries, walking through a larger store, gardening, traveling, exercising, working, or simply moving throughout your day without constantly thinking about your knee. The myth is that improvement stops when therapy ends. The reality is that your knee continues to adapt as you gradually challenge it and return to most of the activities that are meaningful to you. And finally, myth number 6. Everyone else's knee replacement experience tells me what mine should be. This may be the most difficult myth to let go of because comparison is everywhere. People share their experiences online, friends tell stories, and family members often want to help by sharing what happened to someone they know. The problem is that another person's experience is only one person's experience. Someone may tell you they had very little pain, walked without an assistive device quickly, or felt completely normal within a certain time frame. Another person may have had a very different story. Neither one tells you exactly what your experience should be. There's so many factors involved, including your health before surgery, your activity level, your goals, your support system, and the challenges you're working through along the way. Comparison can also make people overlook their own progress. You may focus on what someone else can do while forgetting what you've already accomplished. Instead of asking, am I where this person was? A more useful question might be, am I moving forward compared to where I started? That's a much more fair way to evaluate your own progress. Be gentle with yourself. When you step back and look at these 6 myths together, there's a common theme. Many frustrations after knee replacement come from expectations that are overly simplified for a process that is actually complex and very individual. A new knee does not mean everything changes overnight. Progress is not always a straight line. Pain or stiffness do not automatically mean something's wrong. A calendar date does not determine success, and another person's experience does not define yours. It can be helpful to recognize progress while still being patient with the parts that take a little longer than you might have expected. It does not mean ignoring problems or pretending everything's perfect. It means looking at the whole picture. Are you doing things today that were difficult before surgery? Are you gradually returning to activities that matter to your daily life? Are you building strength, confidence, and trust in your knee? Those are the questions that often tell a much more accurate story than comparing yourself to somebody else's timeline. In the next episode, we're going to talk about another stage that surprises many people. The months after knee replacement when you finally start thinking less about your knee and more about your life again. If you're looking for more practical education, my books Making Sense of Pain After Knee Replacement and Walking Like Yourself Again After Knee Replacement are available through links in the show notes. And if you want practical tips, research updates, and resources delivered to your inbox, I'd love to have you join the Total Knee Success Insider newsletter. It's totally free and also in the show notes. Thanks for joining me. I'm Michelle, and this has been the Total Knee Success Podcast. This podcast is for educational purposes only. Discover more at totalkneesuccess.com and be sure to subscribe and share because every step forward takes you closer to living the life you love.